Yes, I was on Joy Prime. Yes, Julius Kwame Anthony Kopiem, and he made a very powerful intelligence submission on the Community Service Bill under the leadership of Honorable Muntaka as the Interior Minister. You understand? All you need to know about this Community Service Bill, Julius Kwame Anthony made some smart, intelligent, and what you call powerful submission on it. Yes, I wanted to watch the video. It's about 15 minutes long. Yes, I wanted to watch the video to the end, and you understand everything. Yeah, Julius.
So it's for two important reasons.
All right.
One, as you rightly said, is the congestion in our prisons. If you look at Akuse, if you look at Kumasi, if you look at Nsawam, all of them are doing over 260% of the numbers that they are supposed to be doing, which implies that it has human rights implications for the inmates as well. Because if you are keeping them under conditions that ordinarily shouldn't be, then there is the breach of fundamental rights over there. The second aspect is the pressure on the Ghana Prison Service in terms of funding the Ghana Prison Service. Previously, you noticed that they were feeding them with a little over 1 cedis a day, which, you know,
woefully inadequate.
Woefully. It was under the Honorable Muntaka that it was increased to 5 Ghana cedis a day. And if you look at those numbers, I'm saying that we are doing about 260% of our major prisons. And we are having a little over 13,000 inmates presently in there. If you do the calculation, we are looking at 23 million, 23.6 million about annually to feed them. Now, if we are able to implement a law that ensures that misdemeanors, petty theft, are not, you know, punished by custodial sentencing, you get to reduce those numbers, then it means that you bring down the pressure on the Ghana Prison Service. And the 23.6 million that I'm talking about, that it's only feeding. We are not talking about sanitation. The last time when we visited Ho, part of the concerns that were raised by the inmates is sanitation issues because of the large numbers that they are dealing with. That comes with different costs, logistics, all of those things, administrative costs. The more the numbers are there, the more you have to deal with all of those things. And so if we're able to bring down those numbers, you deal with it. And there's the element of social justice, restoration, reintegration of the people into society. When you incarcerate people for petty offenses, because the law creates a situation where the judge does not have the discretion to do an alternative, then that person now joins people who may be hardened criminals. And if that person stays there for up to 3 years, you've taken 3 years of the person's life.
And instead of reforming, you convert.
Exactly. So the person now learns over there to even become a recidivist. So it also prevents that kind of situation. It improves the current framework, as I said, to give judges discretion to be able to give non-custodial sentence. And I would make an example of the case of Emmanuel Entry and the Republic. It happened in 2015. Emmanuel Entry was an 18-year-old boy. They entered somebody's provision shop, where a group of young guys entered somebody's provision shop. And the things they picked could fit into that small bag, right? Which means there are not a lot of items. And so they were charged with conspiracy to steal and stealing. And then they were also charged with unlawful entry. The state eventually withdrew the charge of stealing because they returned the items. I think because of that, the state decided to withdraw the charge of stealing against them. But they were convicted for the conspiracy and sentenced to 18 months. On appeal, the appellate high court considered the issues, including the fact that he's a young guy now about to, you know, start, tertiary education, returned the items. The items are few, they could fit into a small bag. All of those considerations. But after making those considerations, the judge was still left without a choice than to sentence him to 3 months imprisonment because there was no alternative. Once you've convicted, there must be consequences. And even after looking at all the, you know, those factors that may be extenuating and all of those things, the judge is still constrained because even if you want to give the person the lowest, it must be within the framework of the law. So custodial sentencing was still necessary for that guy. And that was 2015. The consideration for this bill started somewhere around 2014. So let's assume that it had passed by then. Emmanuel Entry would not have seen prison.
What would have been the sanction?
he could have done community service, which this law provides for.
Where community service would be?
It would be rendering services in probably afforestation, what do you call it, sanitation, all of those services that are necessary. Even maintenance of public infrastructure if the person has the skill.
Or desilting drains.
Desilting drains, all of that. He could have rendered those services that would have been useful to society.
Yeah.
And he would not have seen, a prison. So the bill comes to solve some of those problems and give judges that...
What are the offenses that the bill is seeking to, or is advocating that would have non-custodial sentences?
So generally, let me talk about the ones that are excluded, and then it gives us a picture into the ones that are included. Offenses that are triable on indictment: rape, defilement.
All right.
Robbery is triable both on indictment and summarily, but I would put it on an indictment category for purposes of this bill. Treason, murder, all of them are excluded. Of course, you don't expect...
serious offenses.
Yeah, they are serious offenses. You don't expect to kill somebody and will make you weed.
Yeah.
You must face consequences. You don't expect to defile someone's daughter and will make you weed. You must face consequences. But when it comes to misdemeanors, minor assault, what do you call it? Stealing. Stealing is not a misdemeanor, it's a felony. But if you look at how stealing is categorized, Act 30 in terms of punishment, there is only a maximum sentence that has been defined, 25. It has not defined the minimum. Which means judges have discretion to even decide that you should do 3 months, which in the case of...
But clearly, there should be sentence, there should be jail term.
With the community sentencing regime, if the judge determines that, you should do below 3 years, then he now has the option to consider that instead of you going into prison, you should do community service. And the good thing about it, people have raised concerns that it would encourage people to commit more crimes and all of those.
Because they know they won't go to jail.
Exactly. But it is not the case. And I heard you mentioning the issue with politicians and all. With the nature and framing of the bill, they may not even find some safety under it, in my view. Because if you are in public service, your charges may include using public service, public office for profit and all of those things, which may not necessarily find redemption under stealing, which is one of those felonies that would fall under it. So you may not be excused. So it will not be an excuse for people to go about and be misconducting themselves. Also, the case is that there would be a social inquiry which must be made into you, the individual. So at the point of sentencing, before making the community service order, the judge must make sure that there is a social inquiry report that is presented, and that social inquiry report will look into your character, your conduct in the society, even your health status.
And whether you're a repeat offender.
Whether you are a recidivist, all of that, it will look into it. And if those, the report establishes that you are somebody who has a habit of community, you may not find, clemency under the community service bill. So it will not lead to those things. And then because of the social inquiry reports that would also be conducted, the fears that people who may be criminals will be left aloof and they will continue to misconduct themselves would not also be there. So
where are we as far as this bill is concerned? It's been passed.
Yeah, it's been passed.
Waiting assent.
It's awaiting assent by the president. And when it is assented by the president, we need to put up a community service secretariat that would operationalize the law and monitor its implementation. And the president will have to appoint an administrator to carry out that mandate. The good thing about the setup also is that it is going to leverage existing institutions, our district assemblies and decentralization institutions that already exist. So it will bring down the cost of administering it. What we want to do at the end of the day is to ensure that the implementation in terms of cost reduction that we want to do does not, end up costing more than what it would have been if we have we have continued with the custodial sentence. But you would also agree that you cannot quantify the social value of ensuring that instead of people serving, custodial sentences, they remain integrated into society and remain valuable human resources to their communities, to their families, to themselves also. And I would always make the example of the Emmanuel Entry case. Yeah. If he had gone for 3 years, what it would mean is that he would have lost the period of 3 years of his tertiary education. And that can change a lot. That can completely alter the trajectory of somebody's life. And so you can't necessarily quantify that in monetary terms. It is going to serve that purpose as well. So the bill, I think, is a welcome one that that we should all promote.
Why do you think it hasn't been assented to yet? What do you think is holding it up?
Oh, I don't think anything is holding it up. You know, the President of the Republic has expansive responsibilities to undertake. And the period in which the bill was passed was when we had also the flooding issues and all of those things. The President has a lot of things that are taking his attention. So I think that at the nearest available time, the President will assent the bill.
Okay, so you're saying that once the President has assented to, then there are other things that have to kick in. But that would also, you know, put or have implications on the public purse.
Yes, and that is why I was trying to do the analysis for you. Overall, the objective is to ensure that in terms of cost, we are seeing in economic terms, in numbers, a reduced cost as compared to the period without the Community Service Act. And also in terms of the social value, you can't put monetary value on it. If you take the situation of Emmanuel Entry, you can't put monetary value on what would have happened to that young man if he had to do 3 years instead of being in school, developing a skill and all of that. Then the services that these people will render, the maximum time they have to be in the service is 6 months. The services that they will render as well have economic value that is going to come out of them.
So for you, you believe that regardless of the cost,
no matter how you look at it, it would be a net gain. Regardless, it will be a net gain.
All right. Thank you very much, Anthony. Anthony has been helpful in explaining this bill to us, and I believe people should be happy that instead of the people being thrown into jail for petty theft and all of that, we're going to have them being put to use, or their efforts being put to use in the community. Right. So thank you very much, Julius Kwame Anthony. He's the press secretary at the Ministry of the Interior, and he has been explaining to us what the Community Service Bill is all about. So thank you for making time to speak with us or to join us in the studio.
It's a pleasure.
You're still here.